notably in the mirror, but I think the green-red build of the deck has receded in popularity for reasons that aren't entirely clear to me. It definitely has some advantages.
Meanwhile, blue-white Devotion that we saw earlier, leading off with just a little bit of a Scryland for a change.
And the white splash just for Defensive Sphere, no copies of Afara in this list. Jorge leads off with a Stomping Ground, untapped.
A pretty good sign he has an Elvish Mystic. How different do you think this format would be if Birds of Paradise was legal instead of Elvish Mystic?
I think that you would see more Jund and Naya decks and less red-green. I think that would be the tipping point. That alongside Caryatid, and now the advantages are pretty pronounced to just playing a full 3 colors. Howlbound untapped for Kevin. And a Frostburn Weird. Jorge trying to throw people off the scent with his Counterspell Sleeves, a move that I really like. Here's Courser of Krufix.
Nope.
So Jorge off to a great start here. This is one of the advantages of playing green-red. A lot more lands to just come into play untapped.
Oh, absolutely. And even though it's disappointing to have that land on top, well, he can't play it. The fact that he has 3 mana in play and 1 more in his hand, 1 more on top, means he's for sure going to have enough mana to cast the Boom Booms in his hand, like Xenagos and Stormbreath Dragon.
Draws for the turn, draws the mountain we know about, reveals Sylvan Caryatid to the Courser. Plays a mountain, gains 1 life off of Courser of Krufix.
An important element of the Courser, of course.
And it looks like Xenagos, the Reveler, is about to show up.
Xenagos has been known to revel.
There's a lot of copies of Xenagos in his hand.
Xenagos, the Reveler without a cause.
Looks like we're going to be deploying a Satyr token here momentarily.
Any copies of Xenagos, the God of Revels?
1 copy.
Oh, so he's got Xenagos both ways. I like it, because if Xenagos, God of Revels, comes down, I mean, that right there is, I mean, that's it, right? He's awake.
It's a combo. They synergize with one another. The Planeswalker provides creatures for the god and devotion.
Yep. Xenagos is his own best friend. Kevin Clock reminding himself to Thassa appropriately. Jace comes down, meaning Thassa's awake. Jace ticking up. And Thassa bringing the funky beats on some serious Abyss type of time. Otherwise, the Xenagos will just die, so obviously Satyr jumps in front.
And Kevin with Master Waves in hand, trying to build up just a huge board right now.
Oh yeah, next turn's going to be devastating. I mean, how many answers does Jorge have in his deck?
To the Master Waves?
Yeah.
Palicranos, 4 copies.
Now, he can't use Domray's ability.
Correct, because it targets on both.
Right.
A lot of players...
Flesh and Blood, Mizzy Mortars, neither of those work.
Yeah.
It's literally just Palicranos, huh? It's pretty intense.
You can fly over with Stormbreath Dragon, but by and large, there's not a lot to be done.
Please bring your deck up to the main event stage for top 8 deck check.
Jorge looks like committing another serious threat to the board. This time Stormbreath Dragon.
Bring your deck up to the main event stage for a top 8 deck check. Thank you.
Appears to be ignoring Jace here. Now, he could send Courser, the Satyr, and the Dragon at Jace and do some real work this turn. But it looks like he may want to just hold back.
Yeah, I think he just wants to protect his Xenagos. He wouldn't be able to kill Jace anyway. So this way, at least he puts Jace on a 2-turn clock.
So coming in untapped, Scries with Thassa. This matchup feels a lot like Palicranos or Bust for green-red.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's generally just kind of a good matchup for mono blue anyway. I mean, I know it was when the deck first got made, and was part of the reason why red-green took a little bit of a dip.
A little soft in the air. Not good answers to Master of Waves, besides Palakronos, really.
Yeah, I mean, I still am not 100% on board with this whole red-green resurgence either, because I don't like playing these red-green decks against mono-black, and I don't like playing against mono-blue.
Yep.
And there's not a lot, I mean, there's not a shortage of mono-black and mono-blue out there. But it is a lot of sweet cards, and there are a lot of people who are desperate to play with their Temple of Abandon when they know that this format is a blue-white-black type of format.
Accelerating into Stormbreath Dragon is just too attractive for some people to say no to.
Yeah, but what I like is most of the red-green monsters players out there can look you in the eye, say with a straight face, you know what? I know this isn't really the best deck. I want to play this. I respect that Sphinx's Revelation and Thoughtseize decks are just better than this. I'm not delusional, but at the end of the day, I kind of just want to play with some fatties. You know, that amount of self-awareness is an awesome thing.
We should all strive for that level of being true to thy own self. Force on the top here for you. Gets to play it for free off of Courser.
Of course. Courser of Prefix is kind of a sweet little design. I mean, obviously, yeah, it harkens back to Oracle of Moldiah, but it doesn't get as crazy as Oracle of Moldiah did. And the fact that it actually has a bigger body for its cost makes it kind of a fun little piece in the game, you know?
Yeah, Oracle of Moldiah was often pretty poor against aggressive decks. Courser's quite good against aggressive decks, so there's a difference there in terms of things it's better or worse against.
And obviously, there's a lot more tension in the Courser because of only being able to play one land a turn.
Yeah. No, it's a sweet card, I think, to be pushed. Courser's pretty pushy design.
Yeah, but it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And red and green need it, quite honestly. Xenagos makes his triumphant return.
Ooh, making some mana. Now there's a Domri.
Whoa there, Green Mage, playing blue here. What do you think about Xenagos' decisions? Going on. So he started off as this Planeswalker dude, right?
Yep.
And then he goes on and he decides he wants to become a god.
I'm with you.
And kind of forces his way into godhood and eventually becomes corrupted by the power. And he ends up becoming that which he used to hate. You know, like he becomes an oppressive figure that's kind of just, overbearing and commanding and, militarizing people when he used to be all anti-establishment, you know?
Yeah.
I'm kind of just bummed he sold out.
We all do eventually.
No, not like Xenagos. I mean, that's some serious, like, you want to become a god and then you kind of, betray everything you stood for. Like, that's some serious, like, go watch Katy Perry's music video, The Dark Horse.
Uh-huh.
And it's like basically the story of Xenagos.
There's a lot of parallels, yeah.
Yeah. Plus, it's got a nice beat. Stormbreath Dragon getting busy each turn means that Kevin's going to need to pick it up a little bit here.
Yeah, he doesn't have all day.
He does need 2 more devotion. Because of the Frostburn Weird biting it, he does need 2 more devotion to be able to get Thassa to wake back up and start swinging. But he's so far behind that, racing is not really on the table at the moment.
I'm surprised the Detention Sphere was used to take out the Domri when he had a Judge's Familiar that could simply finish off Domri.
Yeah, I think he just didn't see the play,
That Judge's Familiar is back for chump blocking duty on Stormbreath Dragon. That doesn't work because the Judge's Familiar is a white creature.
Yeah, I think he didn't see it. And it'd be nice to be able to get that Xenagos off the table with the Detention Sphere,
Yeah.
Particularly since now, Kevin, not only is he facing a giant Stormbreath Dragon at a low life total, he's got a lot of other miscellaneous problems to solve. And his deck doesn't actually have any answers to Stormbreath Dragon. So it might be he's just given up.
Yeah, he can't really engage in in combat at all because every trade that he has deteriorates his ability to generate sufficient devotion for Thassa or Master of Waves. And he needs all of his mana too.
And at this point, it's Tidebinder or no. I mean, Tidebinder can obviously slow the Stormbreath Dragon down. Jorge, a lot of ways to get rid of a Tidebinder, but at least a Tidebinder means he's not dead next turn. Goes ahead and just takes it. Taking 11, knocking him to 3, or is he going to chump with the Judge's Familiar? Looks like he does chump with the Judge's Familiar.
Or not.
And that is game.
That's a Gore Clan Rampager, and that's lethal. Kevin Clock had a Master of Waves in hand. He was never able to deploy. Yep. And accelerating into large creatures. Takes game 1 for Jorge. 1 for the honest people out there who just want to accelerate into some large stuff.
Xenagos and Domri is your idea of honest? I know you don't respect Xenagos, but like
I'm not a big fan of Xenagos the Reveler.
That's what I'm talking about, man. I like Xenagos the Reveler back when he was the Reveler. You know, now that he's the god of revels,
the heel turn, as we refer to it in the pro wrestling business.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking some straight up Hollywood Hogan type of time.
Yeah.
Like the first time. Like this is like Xenagos is like
Sergeant Slaughter deciding to work with the Iraqis.
Are you serious? The Iraqis, real? You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's like Xenagos. This is. I mean, he takes his satyrs, and he gets them militarized.
It's terrible.
That's crazy to me. That's
moving on to the sideboard. Jorge with a Bow of Nylea, 2 Plummets, 2 Shocks, 2 copies of Anger of the Gods, 2 Unravel the Aethers, 3 Mistcutter Hydras, Chandra Pyromaster, a Rorikthar, and a Garrett Collar Beast. A lot of options here potentially. Some cards that punish flyers, which the Blue Devotion deck has quite a few of, and Green-Red Monsters, a little soft in the air, the Bow of Nylea, the 2 Plummets, 2 Shocks and 2 Anger of the Gods are reasonable here. Unravel the Aether if he wants to fight over a couple choice cards like Thassa or Detention Sphere. A lot of options.
Xenagos is a great opportunity for a good deicide, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Like
he has it coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just got a ruling. Apparently, the art of deicide is, in fact, Xenagos getting deicided.
He should have just hung out making satyrs his whole life.
Well, he was the principal antagonist of the storyline, and it's a good thing Elspeth, you know, brought out the God's End in order to, you know, deal with that, you know, because Xenagos, I mean, kind of was just making everything spiral out of control. I actually think the rest of the gods kind of had it all figured out. They would have been all right, and they wouldn't have had to have this whole war against the humans. But Xenagos kind of brought things to a head. I do think it's good that they're doing more storylines like this that, well, they may be, you know, grand in scale, don't involve time travel and the destruction of entire universes.
Time travel is the biggest cheats in storytelling. There's no accountability once you go to the time travel well.
I love time travel stories. I just think that there are only a couple good ones. It's so hard to make a good time. I mean, anybody who's ever seen Primer knows that it is possible to make a good time travel story. So going into game 2, Kevin Clock is going to be on the play. What's he doing different out of his sideboard?
Well, we got 2 copies of Jace Memory Deck, 2 Revoke Existence, 2 Glare of Heresy, 3 Rapid Hybridizations, 3 Domestications, a Cyclonic Rift, and a Curse of the Swine. I think you're seeing Curse of the Swine, the Rapid Hybridizations, and the Cyclonic Rifts come in. All the things that allow him to break serve, slow Jorge's tempo down a little bit, and especially deal with Palachronos, which is the most threatening card that Jorge presents in this matchup.
That makes sense. Jorge, on the other hand, has access to a Garruk Caller of Beasts, Rorikthar the Unbowed, Chandra Pyromaster, 3 Mistcutter Hydras, 2 Unravel the Aether, 2 Anger of the Gods, 2 Shocks, 2 Plummets, and a Bow of Nylea. As you said earlier, I think the biggest thing we're going to see here is the direct damage and the Mistcutter Hydra.
Yeah, the Shocks, even though they seem pretty innocuous, are valuable in allowing Jorge to stem the early tide of flyers, and that's where Green-Red Monsters can really fall behind in the matchup. When Cloudfin Raptor goes unchecked, when even Judge's Familiar is allowed to clock you for a little bit while the damage and their ability to threaten Planeswalkers is really significant. It's also a good answer to Tidebinder Mage, which is one of the best cards that Blue Devotion has in the matchup.
I really like the Unravel the Aether, too.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to hit the Detention Sphere and the Thassa.
Maybe a little bit narrow against the straight blue version, although possibly still worth it because Thassa is so important. But against the deck that's also packing Detention Sphere, I think you really want a couple copies of that card.
Right, and then obviously Plummet. very much shining against a deck full of Stormcrows
Yep.
of all shapes and sizes.
Well, just the one size, really. The 1/2.
I mean, Night Veil Spectre is like a Stormcrow that's already been battle growthed.
Yeah.
And Judge's Familiar is like a Squire next to a Stormcrow. You know, it's like an also ran type of situation.
Yeah, it's a throwback to Alliance's Dark Seal deck.
Oh my God, dude! I played some Ice Age Alliance's Seal deck.
It is
back when it first came out.
unbearable.
I don't know. I bared it pretty nicely. I thought, like, first of all, that Gorilla Berserker, just getting in there where you're like, okay, do you have 3 blockers? Because it's going to take 3, and let's be honest, you're not doing 7 damage with your 3 blockers. You're lucky if you've got a bunch of 1/3s for 5.
Cloudfin Raptors start off the action for Kevin, a Forest and an Elvish Mystic.
Not a lot of 1-drops in this red-green monster deck, but boy, do they appreciate when they have the Elvish Mystic.
Yeah, a lot of powerful 3 and 4 mana plays, so just playing that stuff ahead of schedule is so powerful. Azorius Guildgate to play for Kevin.
Cloudfin Raptor staying home on turn 2, as he is wont to do.
Here's a Caryatid and some beatdowns.
Yeah, we have some serious mana generation on Lopez's side of the board.
See what he's building towards. Could be a fast Stormbreath Dragon. It appears to have Midgame Mortars in hand. That
Excellent.
could be brutal here.
Kevin Clock looking to get something going. It's got a whole bunch of Frostburn Weirds, which are fine, but they're not insane here. But what's really hurting Kevin is that he does not have a 3rd land. He already missed his 2-drop on 2 from being off curve, and now he doesn't have a 3rd land, so he's yet another turn behind.
There's Temple of Abandon. And he may have no choice but to just play into the jaws of this Midgame Mortars as well. Here's a Scavenging Ooze for Jorge.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty grim. This is why you need Judge's Familiar.
Yeah.
Get it down there, represent.
There's Tidebinder Mage. That's going to evolve the Raptor. Pins down the Elvish Mystic.
Wisely stunting Lopez's mana.
Really important here for him to pin down Lopez's ability to get to 6 mana. He knows about the threat of Midgame Mortars, and there could be other large threats as well. Unravel the Aether, the draw for Jorge.
A lot of big options. The only thing he's missing is a big threat. Like, he's got options for reactive cards. He just needs some kind of proactive thing, whether it be a Planeswalker or a Fatty.
So Kevin has drawn Hallowed Fountain. There's another copy of Frostburn Weird.
Now, with that Raptor is looking like it could potentially grow out of range of Midgame Mortars if Clock can find a 3rd land for the. And he has a 3rd land. If Thassa comes down, this Raptor is no longer going to be mortizable.
Yeah, they're going to stop there. The Elvish Mystic still tapped to the Tidebinder Mage. But this sequence from Kevin, unfortunately, plays him right into the maw of an overloaded Midgame Mortars. And there it is.
We need like a shaking screen graphic where it's like... I think it's just, very kind of Lopez to not do the old scoop up his opponent's entire side of the board and just deposit the filth in the yard.
The shovel.
Oh my God. The shovel is kind of like the type of thing you would expect from somebody who puts their land in front of their creatures.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? That's not cool, man.
You can't run the shovel and then lose. That's the problem. Jorge's flooding out a little bit here.
Yeah.
Not clear if he's going to win this game. You
Right.
cannot shovel your opponent's
Right.
permanents and then lose the game.
It's too risky.
It's a really risky move.
Lopez gets in there. One more.
As a reactive hand here, a Plummet and Unravel the Aether.
Kevin on a 16-turn clock.
The draw is Domestication.
Both players' hands full of cards that should be good in this matchup. One with too much mana, not enough business. The other,
So there's the
one
Plummet.
mana short. And we continue to just see unimpressive draws on the monster side.
Really needs to find one of the time back cards. You know, Kevin's sitting here with a hand of multiple copies of Domestication, multiple Master of Waves.
And you got to be careful, because you know what they say, mana screw beats mana flood.
Yep.
Generally, when both players just are stuck like this, very often the player who's just 1 mana short has the big advantage, because as soon as they draw that last mana, they're just full of gas. Whereas the monster deck, I mean, at best is drawing 1 threat a turn. Although this Domri potentially threatens to change that.
Yep. So Domri misses, Elvish Mystic across again. Cloudfin Raptor off the top.
Cloudfin Raptor not exactly bringing the beats just yet, but
give it some time. Usually just takes a little time.
Lopez still has 3.5 land left in his deck.
All right.
Stormbreath Dragon.
He gets a nice slow reveal there.
This is what he was looking for.
Something big. Here comes some attacks.
The dragon getting busy. Rapidly hybridizes. Whatever the hell that means.
Now it's time for a big draw here for Kevin. Can he find that 4th land? It's a Hallowed Fountain.
Does. It is something.
It's a little painful, but it is something.
Yep. And what's nice is he has Domestication for the nice little rapid hybridization Domestication combo.
That's a combo.
That is a combo. That combo is, that's not bad.
But Jorge has been sitting on this Unravel the Aether for a really long time. He's going to use it here on Domestication.
Which means now he gets to eat the Nightveil Spectre, Cloudfin Raptor, just start eating some of the miscellaneous creatures in Kevin's graveyard, giving him a little bit of life, but more importantly, a threat big enough to really just give Kevin the business.
Yeah, he no longer has to worry about future domestications on this threat as well, which is a really nice insurance policy. That's the risk of blowing up the domestication, is now future domestications are still alive.
Domri continues to tick up.
So Domri misses again.
Definitely a few too many land. But this Scavenging Ooze is about to put Kevin on a real short clock.
So Ooze activating for quite a bit here. He's now a 6/6.
Yeah, gosh darn right he is.
And Kevin not looking to chump block here. I suppose he's trying to set up a big Master of Waves.
Definitely risky, given Lopez has already shown Gorklan Rampager.
Plays a fresh Domri.
Interesting.
Takes out the Raptor.
Drops his Domri from 6 to 1.
Well, he may have had no ambitions of going ultimate. And domestication off the top for Kevin. So Jorge rewarded for his plan of going, just pushing on Scavenging Ooze here. So here comes Master of Waves.
Yeah, I just mean, like, if you had a Domri with 6 counters ticking up, that puts some pressure on Kevin. Well, you could just be on the defend Domri for a couple turns plan.
May have been challenging to do in the face of that Cloudfin Raptor that would have still been in play. That Scavenging Ooze is getting so large. Out of the range of Master Waves and Friends to handle, which is something you rarely see.
Please help us keep this tournament running fast. Please bring your decks up as soon as you believe you have made the top 8. Thank you.
Reveals a Sylvan Caryatid to Domri. Here comes a lethal attack with Scavenging Ooze.
Now, if he tries the party block, how does it go down? Oh, he does not. Okay.
Well, there's a shock in Jorge's hand, so that blows the whole thing up.
Well, there's still enough to kill the Ooze, right?
If he's willing to put Master of Waves in front.
Yeah, it has to be literally everything.
So Kevin in some trouble facing this enormous Scavenging Ooze. Scavenging Ooze is a card that kind of gets lost in the shuffle of all the things that the green-red monsters deck does, but it's a really cheap threat early on that has the potential to take the game over, and you're seeing it on display right now.
Yeah, at this point, Kevin's problems are as big as that Ooze.
He's trying to figure something out here. I mean, he has Biden in hand. Domestication, neither of these cards terribly helpful right now.
I mean, both are sort of a plan, though, right? Like, I mean, Biden, in theory, in a couple turns, can do something. He can actually kill. Yeah, exactly. So he domestications, which makes it easier to kill Domri without losing the ability to chump block. So now Master of Waves and, you know, two of the other 3 tokens can get in there if you really want to. Interesting. So this means that it's going to be the Z-Master who actually has to chump.
Yeah, this is pretty rough for Kevin as the House of Cards really starts collapsing once this Master of Waves blocks. Requires a chump block from the Caryatid to stay in front, and there's just going to be a concession.
Interesting. Why do you suppose a concession there? Do you think he forgets that Master Waves can't be Domried?
I don't know. Maybe, I mean, he might just feel like he's way too far behind at that point.
Because you could just draw another Master.
Or a rapid hybridization.
Yeah.
The game goes on.
I assume it's the Domri situation. I don't know. Either way, Jorge Lopez is up 2-0, winning the match and locking up top 8 against Kevin Clock.